The next day took the new evidence, the true deed, to the court. We thought this would prove the old verdict false and would free Father once and for all. The true deed showed that Father was falsely accused in the previous trial. We hoped Judge Rodriguez would be inclined in our favor. Judge Rodriguez was at first surprised to see the evidence, and then he called Mr. Alonso to testify in front of the court. Mr. Alonso told of Father's past and how the previous trial was flawed. After hearing this, Judge Rodriguez seemed seriously in doubt of the original verdict. But then he told us that this was not conclusive evidence and we had to bring more evidence. It seemed the cryptogram that we found in the river when Torres escaped was the final piece of evidence that we had. But we had to open the cryptogram first. I was now getting increasingly hopeful that we would be able to free Father. The way Manuel had helped us all along was remarkable, and I don't know what I would have done had he not been at my side. We took the cryptogram and sat down to open it. We were all thrilled to see the cryptogram opened, and we found a letter inside. It seemed to be very old, and as we read, we immediately knew that it was the most important piece of evidence we had found. The letter read, I, Carlos McCoy, am writing this letter to confess the crime that has haunted me since the day I committed it. As old age approaches and death comes near, the burden of my sin is not being easy on me. I do not want to die knowing that an innocent man is living the life of a fugitive because of me. So this day I confess my crime and write it in letter so that it shall serve as evidence of the innocence of Joam da Costa. The man has been falsely accused of murder of Fabiano Garcia. It was not him. It was I who killed Fabiano Garcia. I was the factory shipment manager at the Manaus leather factory, and out of greed I started adding intentional losses in shipments to clients. When Fabiano Garcia became aware of my fraud, he called Joam da Costa to his mansion to file criminal charges against me. But I acted before they could meet and killed Fabiano in his mansion. Whoever finds this letter, I beg of him to produce this in court or provide it to Joam da Costa himself as evidence for his innocence. It was the confession of Torres's father, Carlos Marcoy. He was the real murderer, and the letter proved it. It had all the details that were missing in the trial records, and it was signed. Carlos Marcoy was so troubled by his conscience that he must have confessed this at some point in his life and handed it over to his son, Torres Marcoy. But the wicked man, oblivious of his father's dying wish, decided to blackmail Father instead of helping him. The next day, we took the confession letter to court. We knew this was the evidence that would finally prove that Joam da Costa was not a murderer. He was an innocent man, falsely accused of murder. The judge took a long, hard look at the letter. He read it over and over again, and then went to his chamber. After 10 minutes he returned and handed us a piece of paper. It was a questionnaire. At first we were surprised, but then we knew that this was the last task in our long quest. When we handed back the questionnaire, Judge Rodriguez again went into deep scrutiny. And then, after some time that seemed like eternity, he finally smashed the hammer 3 times and said, "Order! Order! Order!" And then we heard the words we were all waiting for. Joam da Costa was declared innocent. Father was finally a free man. I hugged Mother and we both started crying. It was a long, hard test of our courage and belief in Father's innocence. And we had succeeded. Manuel and I got married at Belém just 10 days after the trial ended. At the wedding day, I thought about my adventures with Manuel and how they had made me love him even more. He never left my side in the worst of times, and this was the confidence that I knew would help us through the rest of our lives. Father was happier than I have ever seen him. After all these years, he was finally Joam da Costa again. And for a man who had spent the best days of his youth as a fugitive, he seemed very content with life.